Hello, and welcome to another video of Sean's Check-In. To follow all my videos, feel free to follow my professional Facebook page, Sean P. Daughtry, LICSW, or over on my YouTube channel, Sean D. Sean's Little Check-In or Sean's Check-In. So today I wanted to just check in about a topic that's really been on my mind a lot, and it's actually been fostered on my mind a lot because of a book I'm currently in the thick of reading, which I referred to once before in a previous video of mine. Don't You Know Who I Am? How to Stay Sane in an Era of Narcissism, Entitlement, and Incivility. I just want to give credit to that book, which is by Dr. Ramani Durvasula. It's a new book, a few months old or so. And I wanted to give credit to that book because there's good stuff in there that has been interweaving into my own thinking about a particular topic in mind, which is social media and the experience for many people of envy and how that comes up for people in social media because of how social media, such as Facebook, Instagram, many more that I can't even keep track of, you name it, that are about a way for many people of seeking and getting caught up in continuing to seek external validation for themselves to cultivate more and more of a sense of self-worth, of feeling like one is enough and a valued human being. That is something obviously that is important to all of us as people. And social media plays into focusing on developing that in an external way over and over again, seeking validation from others to feel a sense of self-worth and inherent value as a human being. And that whole area of feeling good enough or enough, it actually gets pretty complicated around how nuanced that can be around different versions, if you will, of feeling like one is enough, like attractive enough physically, smart enough, or just enough overall as a person. And our individual histories inform us, obviously, of how enough we're going to feel according to how we were raised. If we were given a lot of consistent messaging starting in early childhood, that we were inherently valuable and worthwhile as human beings in this unconditional, understood way, regardless of our behaviors, and that's a real ideal kind of set of messaging to get from parents, then that's all well and good. However, since humans are humans and we all make mistakes, including parents, along the way in childhood, it may be often bumpy, and messaging doesn't always get through clearly that you are unconditionally a worthwhile human being. And social media has definitely become a way that people become vulnerable, if they're already vulnerable around their sense of worth, that is, of feeling like enough. Social media has definitely, the dark side of it, if you will, has played into that. So I wanted to talk a bit more about that around the whole concept of envy that comes up for people with in regards to social media and how people use social media to continue to get validation. And so the need for external validation, using social media posting to show how good you are through how much you own, such as your nice house, your nice car, your nicely built body, which is like another commodity, for example, along with everything else you own, because we are in a very materialistic culture, not just in the United States, but many cultures worldwide are that way, and others that aren't are catching up to becoming more that way, materialistic. That means valuing most ownership of money and material things, goods like houses, cars, etc. That's what I mean by materialistic and a materialistic focused culture. And next to that, too, is then power as well. So the more power you have over others, that continues to be a value too, although obviously a fraught one, where a lot of people say they don't value that, but behavior shows differently. There's studies that have been done around that. In fact, some of them that are referred to in this book about how the valuing of power, that means over others, being higher in power over others, or being a follower of someone who is higher in power over you, that whole authoritarianism reference I made earlier in a few other videos, that comes at play as well. And this interplay of materialism and valuing of power over others, or following someone of power, that is quite a powerful value system in terms of how compelling it is for many people and how social media plays into that. So back to this whole concept of envy I keep touching upon, but need to elaborate further about what I mean by that. It is easy for people to varying degrees, according to their vulnerability inside themselves, of feeling any degrees of not worthiness, not like a worthwhile human being, just inherently, just by one's own nature, without proving through material goods or successes that lead to having more material goods. And fame also, by the way. Fame is another value that's very big in this materialistic power-oriented culture. Fame, more renowned than other people around you. So that's another kind of acquisition value. So that all said, people to varying degrees can be vulnerable to feeling envious over others' very curated, if you will, postings on social media of how wonderful their house looks, their new car they got, the big diamond ring they got in their engagement to their spouse, the great vacation they're on that clearly cost a lot of money to go on, and look at the wonderful experience they're having that leaves other people out, feeling easily envious of that, according to their own vulnerability of self-worth that is very likely limited, that sense of self-worth that is. So a degree of envy, to some extent, a small amount that comes and goes of a few people, is a normal range. At least that's what Dr. Durvasula, Dr. Ramani Durvasula says, which I think is interesting to read. Obviously, that's subjective. What is a normal range or amount of envy? And some people may believe that you shouldn't be envious at all if you're a healthy human being. And I'm not here to parse that out and get into an argument about that, other than I do understand that it is easy to have a certain degree of envy that gets fostered particularly over and over again, or exacerbated, if you will, by watching people's social media posts of all their great experiences or material goods they're having. There is usually, or almost always, one or more people out there that you may know who has a bit more or a lot more than you do. And because of this materialistic, outward-oriented, validation-obsessed culture, it can be easy to develop a sense of envy to some degree or other, even if a small amount, of some of those people. And I have myself not been completely immune to that. Now, fortunately, those feelings and thoughts of envy that come up for me looking at someone's social media posts on occasion come and go for me. And I've been able to look at them more clearly and understand what they've been about, because I've been affected, like all of us have, by this social media filled culture that fosters over and over again emphasizing these material kinds of gains for people, because of course people naturally want to post about the positive things in their lives and emphasize that and show that and skew how things are so well for them, although as a human being nothing is usually perfect. And that's what I keep coming back to remembering. And it's so important, I've been finding, to cultivate an inner life. and a meaningful connection with people outside of social media, in person as much as possible. Now, here's the thing, as we all know, the pandemic for over a year now has definitely challenged that when we've had to be away to large degrees from people in person, including our loved ones. Um, that's been limited down, or it brings us down to small bubbles of people we can safely be with if we're fortunate enough to have those small bubbles in our lives. But that's meant relying to a degree more, that much more, on social media to maintain actual connections with people, friends and family members who are far away, or even if they're not that far away, have not been able to safely see to protect ourselves from the virus during this pandemic. Um, so what do I mean by cultivating an inner life? Well, I mean cultivating the sense of life. Things to value in life are much, much more than material goods, power over others, if that even needs to be valued at all, and fame, or big, broad recognition for something great about us. What's important is to enjoy the ephemeral, ongoing things in life that are immediately there uh, to just engage with in a full experiencing way. So when I'm outside, for example, working on my garden, that is extremely fulfilling. There's nothing that can replace that. And it's very, very secondary when I post some pictures of my garden to share with others. Um, and I certainly don't mean people to get envious about that. My intention behind that is to share a little bit of my experience of wonder at plants I've planted, or plants I've seen planted by others in my neighborhood, for example. So that's where social media I try and have is a bit of an enhancer towards these more intrinsic experiences that happen in real physical life. Engaging with the soil, for example, enjoying a sunset, enjoying the face-to-face contact with reciprocal relationships of friendships and family members. Those are invaluable and go beyond any material good or sense of fame and recognition that maybe some of us garner because we've published a book or we're in some movies or something. Those I feel are secondary experiences relative to the inherent wonder of being alive day to day. And that, for example, meditation can be a way of cultivating that sense of connection with ourselves, inside ourselves, and the world around us. It starts to get hard to put into words. But I hope I'm making some sense here. And maybe if I can find better words to succinctly explain cultivating an inner life and intrinsic valuing of who we ourselves are as people who have a core self, that are compassionate and curious about the world at large, and naturally can access calm, and all of those other C's that I have a hard time remembering all at once, but at the same time, as I've said before, you can look them up online and immediately see what the 8 C's of self are. Those are both tangible qualities, and at the same time, they're not physically tangible like a material object or money or fame that can be validated by the number of likes you get on a post in social media, or how much money a movie you're in made at the box office. Those ultimately are fleeting too anyway. And we can't take it with us when we die, all that material wealth that some of us have gained, or that notoriety. It just ultimately is all fleeting. So what's most important is to stay engaged in the experience of the immediacy and wonder of life before us. That social media can be used to enhance that, but not take over that. So I'm trying to get at doing social media as opposed to having social media do you, where social media takes over, validating your existence as a worthwhile, attractive, or whatever human being. And I come back to remembering that. And it's very comforting, calming, centering, and reassuring. So thank you for watching, and get out there in the world as much as you can, beyond the social media, beyond Facebook, beyond your Instagram account, and what have you.